The target structure for this lecture is the present perfect. So the present perfect, this is an English tense, and it's one of the most challenging tenses in English. It causes the most problems for students of English. But in this lecture, we're going to clarify the meaning and the structure so that you can understand it much, much better. So let's go to the first meaning of the present perfect. It has different meanings. Let's focus on number one first. So look at this example situation. William asks, "Have you traveled much, Tina?" Tina replies, "Yes, I've visited over 10 countries in Europe, but I haven't visited the USA yet. That is next on my list." So the words in bold indicate the present perfect. This meaning shows that Tina has visited all these countries in her life up to now, the present day. She will visit more countries in the future, but up to today she has visited over 10 in Europe. Think of this meaning as in my life up to now. So that's meaning one. It's important to clarify the meaning. Think of it as in your life up to now. So imagine your life from when you were born this year up to now, the present day. So everything that happens in between are all the events in your life. When you describe all these events, you can use the present perfect. I'll give you one example. I have visited Japan 3 times in my life. So in my life since I was born up to today, I have visited Japan 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So the present perfect is the perfect tense to use. I can say, I have visited Japan 3 times. This means in my whole life. Let's look at meaning 2 now. Look at this example. Robert has eaten so much food today. He has had 2 burgers, half a pizza, and a huge slice of cake. So the words in bold indicate the present perfect. This meaning shows that you have done something over a period of time. In this example, today, up until now. Robert has eaten all this food so far today. He will eat more, but so far he has eaten this much. So that's meaning 2. It's very similar to meaning 1. Remember, meaning 1 is from when you were born up to today. But meaning 2 is talking about a shorter time period. For example, 1 day, today, or 1 week. So I can say, so far this week, it's a very short time period, I have eaten 3 hamburgers. You see? So I'm talking about a much shorter period. I can also talk about my whole life. In my life, I have eaten hundreds of hamburgers. But this week, I've eaten 3 hamburgers. You see? So we can change the period of time. Now, there's one more meaning that we need to look at. Meaning 3. Look at this example. This is really scary. I've never driven before. This is the first time I've ever driven a car. So the words in bold indicate the present perfect. This meaning shows that it's the first time you have done something in your life. This person is driving a car for the first time ever. And notice the words never means not in my life. It means I've never done something in my whole life. And ever is the positive form. It means in my life. Those are the three meanings of the present perfect that we're going to focus on in this lecture and the following lectures. Now, the structure is also very, very important for the present perfect. Let's have a look at how we form the present perfect. So we use I, we, you, or they, plus have, plus a past participle verb. For example, eaten, gone, driven, lost, etc. When we use he, she, or it, we use has plus a past participle verb. So he, she, and it, remember, can include a person's name. For example, Jane or Anthony. If we use a name, we also use has plus past participle verb. So look at these two examples. I have eaten many kinds of food. She has won lots of awards. So that's the positive structure. Just a note on the past participle verbs. These verbs are usually found in the third column of a textbook verb list. So for example, the verb to eat has the basic form eat, it has the past form ate, and it has the past participle form eaten. We need this form for the present perfect. I have eaten many kinds of food in my life. So we need to use the past participle with the present perfect. Let's look at the next structure, the negative structure. This is formed in a similar way. So I, we, you, they. This time we use haven't, have not, plus a past participle verb. For he, she, and it, we use hasn't, plus a past participle verb. For example, I haven't been to a football match this year. He hasn't eaten any food today. Now, there is another negative structure that we're going to look at using never. So we use I, we, you, they, plus have, plus never, plus past participle. It sounds very confusing and long, but when we get to the example sentences, you'll know how to use them. He, she, and it uses has plus never plus a past participle verb. For example, you have never been to a football match. He has never eaten meat. Remember, never means not in my life. It's always talking about your whole life. So if someone says to you, I've never eaten meat, they're talking about their whole life from when they were born up to now. That means in their life, they haven't eaten any meat. If I say, I've never been to Australia, that means I've never visited Australia in my life. So always remember that. Never means in my life, not in my life. Here is the question structure. We form the questions like this. Have plus I, we, you, they, plus a past participle verb. Another form is has plus he, she, it, plus a past participle verb. For example, have they spoken to John? Spoken is the past participle of the verb to speak. And the second example says, has she broken a bone? Broken is the past participle of the verb to break. So that is the question structure. That was a lot of information to take in, I know. There were 3 different meanings and lots of different structures. But just remember, the present perfect is to talk about a time period. In my life, or a shorter time period, for example, today, this week, this month. And always remember, the time period is continuing. So in my life, I have done this, this, and this. But my life is continuing. So maybe I will do even more. The same as the short time periods. This week is continuing. It hasn't finished. So just keep that in mind. The present perfect always means that the time is continuing. Something else could happen soon as well. So if I say, I've eaten 3 hamburgers this week, it means I might eat more tomorrow or the next day. I might not, but I may. That's the key of this tense. Let's move on to the things we have to note for the present perfect. See you in the next lecture.